Hello everyone, I'm Christopher Harper and I'll be your professor for this course online, History of Journalism. And I want to welcome you all to what I consider a really fun class. Now, if you think about history, you say, well, that's going to be kind of boring. Well, what I'd like to do in this class is to provide you with a context about the history of journalism and how it's practiced, particularly in the United States and the West. But the emphasis will be on what Phil Gramm, the former editor of the Washington Post, calls journalism as the first rough draft of history. And what I mean by that, and what he means by that, is to, in this course, take a look at how great journalists went about their work, how they structured their description, how they used quotations, and how they applied storytelling, classical storytelling rather than journalistic storytelling, to a way to engage readers and viewers in what they had to talk about and what they had to say. Now, some of you may have taken an online course before, and that's good. For those of you who haven't, the really important thing is to keep up with the work. Because we don't meet in class every week or twice a week, it's really easy to fall behind. And so it's important to keep up with the work each week. It's kind of a course when you work online, and this is called an asynchronous course, which means that we don't have a live meeting either online or in person, so that what you need to really do is to check in, and I'll go through this in a little bit, each Monday to see what's going on, what you need to do. To a certain extent, the course is a mix between a traditional classroom, and I'll put up video lectures like this one, a syllabus, etc., etc. And it's also kind of like an independent study. So there's a mixture of video lectures, there's a discussion board, there's a website, there are traditional papers that are due, and a test that will be taken online. So let's get started, and I'll go through the website and then the syllabus. So I wanted to start off with the website, which is at historyofjournalism.com. And this is what we will be using for most of the work that we do. So you can see the home page, and here you'll find the video lectures, where I will post the various lectures on aspects of the class. And here is the assignment page, and every Monday or maybe Sunday I will post what's on tap for the week ahead. Okay. Now generally the assignments will include a variety of readings. It also will give you a link to the video lectures, and also it will tell you that you need to participate in the discussion board, which becomes more important in an online class. So it counts for about 20% of your grade, which is about double what you'll see in an actual classroom. And each week I will pose 2 discussion questions, and you need to answer them with at least 200 words for each question. Okay? In the library you'll find the various PowerPoints that I use for the video lectures, and sometimes you'll find readings. Most of the readings are in the books that I've assigned for the class, but occasionally there are some that aren't in there, and so I provided you with links to them. And here is the syllabus, and you can find the various things that we're going to do in the class. So let me go through the syllabus. It's the development of American media with an emphasis on a variety of newspapers, freedom of press, the growth of magazines, book publishing, radio and television. And here are the books that I've asked you to get. They're not incredibly expensive, so I hope that'll be all right. Here again is the link to the YouTube videos and the website. And about 40% of the grade will be based on what are called explications or analyses of various readings. Okay, and there'll be 4 of these, each of which counts for 10% of your overall grade. Now, this isn't a book report. Okay, it's essentially to get you to look very closely about the structure of the writing, to look at the writing style, the description, the use of quotations to really, parse individual paragraphs, individual pages, to look at how great writers go about what they do. Okay? Now, each of these will be about 500 words. Okay? There'll be a midterm test which will be posted online, and it will be a mix of questions but also additional analyses of some of the work that we've done. This is worth 15% of your grade. And then at the end of class, a 2,000 word paper. You have to give me your story idea about 3 weeks before the final day of class, and this counts toward 25% of your grade. Now again, if you look at the class participation, it counts towards 20%. So keep that in mind. Don't skip those discussion questions because it does count for a lot. Okay, late assignments will be accepted, except for the final paper, within 1 week of the original assignment. So you can get up to a maximum of 70% of the original grade. So for example, if you turn in an explication late, but it's within 1 week, you can get at most 7 out of 10 points. Take advantage of late papers because otherwise it's going to really hit hard on your overall grade. So here again, the explications or analyses are 40% of the grade. Final paper is 25% of the grade. The midterm exam is 15%, and participation is 20%. Okay, so here's an example. I'll go down to week 3, which gives you a little bit more of the diversity of what we're going to be doing. So we'll be reading about abolition and women's rights, a reading here. Then we'll take a look at Mob Rule in New Orleans by Ida B. Wells Barnett. Some of you may have heard of her before, a very famous African-American woman at the turn of the 20th century. There are videos that address several things that I'll be talking about, but also some background about Ida B. Wells Barnett. And then you need to provide responses to the discussion questions by 5 p.m. Tuesday to discussion question 1, 5 p.m. Wednesday to discussion question 2. On work 4, for example, here's the first analysis that's done, and it has to be done on one of these 2 writings, Richard Harding Davis, The Death of Rodriguez, which is in one of the books that you have, or Stephen Crane, An Experiment in Misery. Okay? So, I'm not going to go through the entire syllabus, but you get the idea of the various workflow. So, in terms of academic rights and responsibilities, if you think that I'm bringing extraneous material into the class, or you have a problem with the way that I'm teaching the class, there is a policy that you can talk to me. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then there are various people to follow the policy and to essentially file a complaint. History is something that's difficult to talk about. It cannot be discussed in a thoughtful and rigorous manner without occasional reference to unpopular ideas or offensive material. Okay, so that please remain sensitive to individual differences, but it's important to respect others' opinions, but don't let that shy away from a disagreement. A disagreement can be a good thing. It essentially is a discussion of various points of view. Academic dishonesty, you can't cheat, you can't plagiarize stuff, and you can't turn in papers from a previous course. Okay? When it comes to students with disabilities, there's a policy here. It becomes more important to file for this in an online course because there are various accommodations, which particularly for tests online that take a little bit more time to set up. One final note, I would like you to meet Sid. Sid is our Great Pyrenees. Sid is a wonderful dog. He likes to bark. He particularly likes to bark while I'm making these recordings. So if you hear him in the background, just wave and say hi, Sid. So that's all for now. We'll see you online. Thank you.